Let me introduce myself. This is Youn Park, and I'm a researcher of Global Convergence Content Research Center. It is a great honor for me to share my study with you through this conference. I hope we can keep in touch after this conference. Now I'm going to share my findings during the 2022 Korean presidential election. In democratic elections, in which the head of the state is elected by vote, the people who are voters have mostly no direct experience in politics. As a result, rather than having strong opinions on various social topics, they form attitudes based on social context and information given. In other words, people use heuristic method to perceive political topics using contextual information. Therefore, when certain information is emphasized in the news, this information is considered a criterion for making social judgments. Shah et al. Showed that citizens' political preferences were substantially influenced by the frames and cues provided by the news media. Therefore, I try to analyze Korean political articles through the result of various studies on politics and the media, especially the political bias of articles appeared during the presidential election. In the 20th presidential election, polarization was more pronounced than ever. Differences between regions were so great, and the result of the vote also showed that the two camps were tensely at odds. Not only the fan, but also the media showed polarizing reactions too. The conservative reported on the election results in the title of Great Victory, while liberal made the title as All of the People Lost. Research on this polarization has been done before. Shimung-shi analyzed opinions related to the Korea-US FTA and argued that the Korean media was ideologically polarized. Then, do articles on topics as policy-related or information on candidates convey unbiased information? How about other topics? So the purpose of this study is to analyze articles pressed during the presidential election and figure out the bias in them. For this, ccLDA will be applied to show that conservative and liberal news outlets select different topic words when composing articles, even under the same subject. Alessio insisted that there was no significant bias for the newspaper industry and news magazines after meta-analysis at 59 quantitative studies. However, there are several limitations. First, they only counted the number of mentions for coverage bias or statement bias. However, articles do not use favorable or unfavorable expression directly, according to norms and constraints of professional news organizations. So, just counting cannot explain the bias. Also, this study overlooked that many non-partisan factors contribute to the tone of coverage. Skipper criticized quantitative analysis of previous works about partisan bias. He set the baseline using the large data set of local newspaper coverage of Senate elections from 1988 to 1992 and analyzed quantitatively and qualitatively, and find out partisan bias at 95 races. Even though the effect of the partisan bias in newspaper was not that noticeable, it was a countervailing finding to the presidential meta-analysis. Domit and Minai focused on sentiment dimensions, to identify news bias. They proposed a model which extracts semantic information from political news articles, and they analyzed the news content using a combination of latent directly allocation. Latent directly allocation is briefly called LDA. I will explain about LDA shortly behind. And LDA was expected to identify the different person's latent opinion about topic or subject. As a result, their system could compare the different agents on a unified and normalized platform. So here's the explanation of LDA. LDA is a representative topic modeling algorithm. Topic modeling is a method to find the topics from the group of documents. As a topic modeling algorithm, LDA assumes that each document is composition of various topics, and the topics are chosen based on probabilistic distribution. Given the document data, LDA backtracks the process in which the document was created. As shown in this picture, each document is assumed as a composition of topics, and each topic is also assumed that it is the composition of randomly extracted words from Dirichlet distribution. And ccLDA is cross-collection LDA, and it is a balanced complementary measure of topic modeling. However, unlike the LDA, its topic is assumed to have two classes of word distributions. One is general opinions group, and the other one is specific opinion group, which is unique to the collection. So ccLDA can identify different viewpoints per topic in unsupervised approach. Paul and Girju developed this ccLDA by extending LDA and cross-collection mixture model, and they identified cross-cultural differences in some blogs and forums about travel. For example, for the subject of weather, travelers' blogs and forums from 3 different countries, UK, India, and Singapore, showed different topics as shown in this table. So in this study, LDA and ccLDA will be used to identify different viewpoints or bias of news outlets. First, we will use LDA to categorize news articles in an unsupervised approach. Our expectation is that news articles will be assigned to a group based on similarity, and the number of groups will be almost corresponded to the categorization result of expert human group. After categorized, ccLDA will be applied to each categories, and our expectation is that result will show that news articles would be composed of different set of words according to the perspective of news outlets. Finally, we will show the bias of news outlets and news articles using sentimental analysis based on LDA and ccLDA. For this study, we should have to crawl the news articles. We collected news published during November 6, 2021 to February 28, 2022. Our Python code was set to collect articles using 6 keywords. They were the names of 2 presidential candidates of each party, and the names of each party, and kind of PE, it's an abbreviation for a presidential election, and the sentence, the presidential election. So there were 6 keywords. From an article, the code collected title, body, URL, news media outlet, date of publication, and number of comments. Since the search engine is based on the title of the article, sometimes unrelated articles were collected. So we had to eliminate them. And then finally, 18,393 articles were in the pool of experiment data. The collected articles are given unique IDs based on the collection date and the code number of the news media. And the comments of each articles are also given with the same ID. Also, we replaced some words into a unified form to consider the characteristics of Korean language. To train the tokenizer based on Korean language, we used SOI-NLP as tokenizer library and our article pool used our article pool as the training sample. LDA dictionary built for LDA excludes words that appear less than 10 documents and also excluded words that appear more frequently than 0.04% of the total documents. After optimization, the number of topics were chosen as 4. LDA was applied to the full article data sets, and we gained these 4 topics. I added Korean explanations for your understandings. However, I think it is better to show you in brief form. Here is the summarization of each topic. So topic 1 was about candidate information. Topic 2 was about some political issues. And topic 3 was about diplomatic issues. And the other one, the topic 4, was about policy. These were categorized in unsupervised approach. The results was very similar to the result of the human experts. And I visualized the result of LDA as chart. All of the 4 topics are apart from each other, showing that they are separated topics to each other. All of the 18,393 articles then were assigned into one of 4 categories, and the number of articles in each topic is shown in table. This picture is presenting the process of assignment of an article. After the article is assigned to one of 4 topics, it is assigned once more to one of 17 weeks data set according to the publication date. For cross-collection LDA, we used the code of Paul and Girdru, but changed it a little to use in Python code. I do appreciate Paul and Girdru for their work. Here's the result. First, this is the result of ccLDA for candidate-related articles at 16.5th week. From this table, we found out that conservative outlets tends to seldomly use unfavorable word for the candidate they support, while liberal outlets tend to use favorable word for the candidate they against. This is the result of ccLDA for diplomatic-related articles at 16.5th week. I could not find out any difference in topic composition among groups. For the articles of politics-related at 7th week, no significant difference was found between 2 compositions. It just reflects political issues of that week. However, policy-related articles at 2nd week showed that welfare policy of the Liberal Party was emphasized in liberal outlets, and tax policy of the liberal government, current government, was criticized in conservative outlets. So findings are like this. The two news media of both camps show different ways of supporting their respective candidates. In issues concerning candidates, each outlet published article in unfavorable tone to candidates in opposite side, or refrained to publish article in unfavorable tone to supporting candidates. In some issues concerning policy, each outlet consistently exposed policies that the fans of their supporting candidates do agree, or policies that the fans of their candidates were dissatisfied with. For political and diplomatic related articles showed current political or diplomatic issues, and no other significant difference was found. This study is the first one to observe how political bias appears in its field, named Policy, Political Candidate, and International Diplomacy, by analyzing the articles collected during the presidential election. Using LDA and ccLDA, we were able to show the semantic differences that appear in articles in the media supporting each camp. In particular, it was found that news outlets chose different routes when reporting information related to candidates or policies in different ways. However, it did not address how reporting on policies or candidates in different ways affected the final vote. As further study, the result of ccLDA will be compared to the weekly approval ratings. Also, the result of this study will be compared to human-coded results. Now, I'd like to conclude as this. This study aims to show the partisan bias of news outlets through semantic analysis. To this end, among the articles published during the presidential election, articles from 4 media outlets from the polarized camps were collected. As a result of ccLDA, analysis on 4 topics which are found by LDA, qualitative differences were confirmed in article related to policies and candidates. Even though this study did not cover how qualitative differences had affected the result of elections, but further analysis could highlight the argument that news outlets should have more responsibility as a provider of public information. Now, this is the end of my presentation, and thank you for listening.